If you're looking at the Tascam DR60D Mk2 recorder for your videos or your films or your freelancing work, so up your audio game as an audio recorder, well, spoiler alert, it's a really good device at doing that. But I sold it, and here's why. So the DR60D is without doubt a really good audio recorder. Like, starting off the design of the DR60D, it is all very nicely well laid out. It's super intuitive, very neat and very easy to understand. On the front of the device, you've got a small LCD screen with not too good resolution, but it's good enough. You can read the stuff on it. The menu system is super easy to navigate with all the buttons that are laid out clearly and neatly, and the controls are very intuitive and easy to understand. There are also a lot of buttons for individual controls, so you don't have to be dialing and scrolling around in menus to really tinker with stuff. So you could just easily change audio levels, turn on and off phantom power, manage each audio channel just like that instantly without any hassle, and that is definitely a nice touch. So there's also on the front, apart from the audio level controls, there's also a play, stop, record button for direct audio recording controls, which I also think is very, very convenient. And because everything is so well labeled, I didn't need to read the manual to understand how to use the device. Super duper well designed. On the left of the device, you have two XLR inputs, a line-in input and a camera-in input, as well as a low-gain camera-out output. There's also a dial for controlling the headphone jack's volume on that left side of the device, which is very nice and convenient. And once again, everything is very nicely laid out and well labeled. Everything is easy to understand and plug in, so that's a good thing from Tascam here. On the right of the device, you've got all the outputs neatly on one side. You've got headphone out with a high gain output, a little dial for adjusting the gain from this line out output, as well as a headphone jack, and of course your SD card slot and a mini USB port. These two things are hidden underneath a nice rubber flap for good protection, which is definitely a plus. On the right, you also find an on-off switch as well as a lock to prevent you from accidentally adjusting and bumping settings with the lock on. You won't actually have those kind of accidents, so that's very convenient and very nice touch. It's clear to see they had considerations of field work in place when they were thinking of it. Now I'm gonna go back to the mini USB port. You can actually not just transfer data through this USB port, but you can also power the device and charge the device off of it, which is very convenient because it's run off AA batteries, which I do not recommend. The battery life on this device, which isn't that great on AA batteries, you put AA batteries in the back of the device, 5 AA batteries are needed to run this device. Either that or you can just run it off USB power bank, which is what I recommend because using AA batteries just lasts like a couple of minutes, less than an hour. And if you are using AA batteries, especially cheaper alkaline ones, you're going to be switching out batteries very, very often, and that's going to be a hassle if you're shooting out in the field. Just use a power bank. That's my recommendation. That's everyone's recommendation. On the top of the device, you have the mount for mounting your camera to the sound recorder, and on the bottom of your device there's a tripod mount for mounting the whole setup to a tripod, so you don't lose that flexibility of a tripod mount even though you have a sound recorder on the bottom of your DSLR. This is super convenient, definitely a nice touch. Now the overall build and design of the device is actually really good. It's a solid plastic and metal construction, definitely very solidly built, feels very sturdy, feels like it can take a pretty decent beating, and if you're rough with it, I don't expect it to break that easily. On top of that, the buttons and everything is very tactile and satisfying to use and click and press, so that's a very good plus. Also, the 4 kind of loops on the corners allow you to attach a bunch of stuff, and that is very convenient and very, very useful. Size-wise, I think it's a tad bulky, but if you're using it on like a full-fledged rig, it's not going to be too much of a problem anyway. Let's talk about the sound performance of this, and that's obviously very important for a audio recorder. Well, it's really, really good. The sound is nice and clean, and I can't judge it really well because I'm not a professional, and I also sold the device. More on that later, but I can tell you it is very nice, especially if you record it to an SD card and use that as an individual recording. The headphone jack, however, is a tad noisy when you're monitoring the sound, so that's not too good. Apart from that, I can't say too much about the performance because I'm not like a professional audio guy and kind of don't really record it. I tested it with the Samsung C102. It's a good mic and it's a good recorder. The sound is really nice and very clean and definitely very, very useful. So I definitely enjoyed using it. So yeah, the DR60D Mk2 it's a good device. Without a doubt in my mind, I absolutely recommend this device to filmmakers and freelancers. But I sold it anyway. And why did I sell it? Well, I sold it because of one word: workflow. Workflow is everything if you are making videos for YouTube. If you're uploading 2 to 3 videos a week, you want to have a quick, really fast turnaround. You want the things to go up just like that, instantly. You don't want to have minimum hassle when you're editing the video, you know, when you're rendering, processing the video. You do not want to have mistakes. You want to reduce the possible points of failure. And when you use the DR60D, because it's kind of a field work professional device, you're going to have a lot of complicated points of failure. So with something like a DR60D, you might forget to hit record, or you might forget to put an SD card in, and because the line out of the DR60D is very noisy, it is a hassle that I have to record separate audio tracks, and that means, you know, I have to sync it in post, and sometimes if I forget to clap and get that peak to sync the audio, then I might not be able to sync the audio, and there's so many points of failure when I use the DR60D that just makes it not worth it, because the sound is better than my previous setup of like the VideoMic Pro or the Blue Yeti, but the workflow gain, the workflow loss is just so much more than the sound quality improvement I got over those microphones. So I'm just sticking with those old setups instead, and that's why I sold it. And that's important to take note. When you buy a device for making videos and stuff, you shouldn't just look at performance, because workflow is extremely important when deciding your kit and your gear and your equipment. But if you have the time, in the case of the DR60, if you have the time to sync audio, to make sure everything is nice, to take multiple shots, if you're shooting, you know, an advert or a film or whatnot, that will be super duper convenient. The increase in audio quality in a scenario like that will be obviously beneficial, and you should definitely get the DR60D Mk2. So I guess it's conclusion time. The DR60D Mk2, should you buy it? Yes, if you are a filmmaker, a freelancer who doesn't need, you know, really fast turnover, who has the time to sync audio and, you know, get everything nicely set up. If you are that kind of person making that kind of content, then yeah, I wholeheartedly recommend the DR60D Mk2. But if you are someone trying to pump YouTube videos, look at a more convenient solution that is easier to use and more, you know, convenient, that will allow you to have faster workflow, like a VideoMic Pro, or an audio setup that plugs straight into the line in of your camera, or an audio setup that allows you to sync really easily with very minimal points of failure. So something like a wireless lav system that goes straight into your camera, or like the VideoMic Pro. That's what I'm using, and that's what I'll probably be using for quite some time, until maybe one day I get really good audio. Till that day though, I will be sticking with this setup for quite some time, and hopefully be making videos that you enjoy. Speaking of which, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram for some sweet photos. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.